restrictions, the curfew moved an hour later, which means you can trade for an hour more. Your reaction?
Absolutely. It's a small win forward for the industry. We are under very severe pressure at this point in time to be able to keep our businesses afloat. We've had very little support from government, and the extra hour certainly allows us to have a dinner time trade. And as we're moving through to the summertime, we certainly have found that the public is certainly calling for restaurants to be able to accommodate the numbers. So the numbers will certainly bring in some further amount of turnover for our businesses. So that is certainly going to bring some relief. And I think the promise that we're going to be addressing this in the near future as well is another point of relief. So we certainly are grateful that there has been some reprieve for the industry.
Is this enough? You've been talking about the woes of the restaurant industry for years now because of COVID-19, saying there's been very little support.
We've been going through this process for 18 months now, and we've certainly been saying to government on every level that they can't remodel our businesses without compensation, and that we're only been trading at 25% of the potential with 100% of debt. And as long as we are trading under these conditions, it doesn't give us an opportunity to keep the industry afloat. And it means we're putting more and more pressure on people that are losing their jobs. Currently, we're sitting with about 70% of our industry on unpaid layoffs, and it's going to continue as more restaurants close if we don't get the necessary consultation and compensation from government to have the reprieve that we need in order to be able to do the debt halting or debt deferment that we've been asking for.
Very quickly, does the restaurant industry, does your association have any stance on these vaccine passports? The president not emphasizing like usual free choice, and he didn't say, that we go strong with these vaccine passports, that people wouldn't be allowed to entertainment venues or restaurants without them. But he did mention them and did say that the health department is looking at this. We know they're looking at a digital option. Do you have a stance?
As the threat of the fourth wave is upon us, we need to have broader conversations surrounding the vaccinations and the vaccination passports. What I can tell you is that our restaurants are doing everything that they possibly can to ensure that the health and safety of our staff as well as our patrons are always the highest priority. And we'll continue to exercise that in our establishments. We'll continue to promote what is in the best interest of the industry and best interest of the public. And we'll continue to work with government in ways that they can certainly display and show us attentive, cohesive relationships where we are going to bring benefit to keeping the industry afloat and not being faced with the threats of the fourth wave. But government needs to certainly open lines of communication with us. They need to have consultations with us. They need to have discussions on how we are going to survive the industry, how we're going to bring more and more people back to work, and that there's some kind of guarantee that they're not going to force us into a further lockdown. I think that South Africa is moving forward. We are being responsible. I can certainly see that our restaurateurs have been responsible in advocacy of ensuring that staff get vaccinated, but we're not going to be in a position to discriminate from people coming into our businesses. We are so frail as it is, and we need to have the restaurants supported by government, and we need to have lines of communication and consultation open.
So you're saying vaccine passports or some sort of entry to a restaurant could hurt the industry?
We're saying we need to have broader conversations with the department to understand how it's going to work, how the limitations are going to work, what are the benefits, are there tax directives, are there going to be tax structures, going to be compensation on the back end, are we going to be able to bring more people back to work, is there going to be a higher degree for us to trade past 12 o'clock, is there going to be a threat of further lockdowns? There's many conversations that need to take place before we can just give our position on it. But we are here to report the health and safety of all the patrons and our staff within our establishments.
All right, thank you very much, Wendy Alberts from the Restaurant Association of South Africa.